All right. Well, Letholor, thank you so much for joining me here today, checking out Winning Streak. I'm going to get the game fired up, and maybe you can talk a little bit about your background and your role on this project.
All right. So my background on this project is I went to school for game programming and development. I attended Southern New Hampshire University to get my bachelor's degree. And on this project, I'm again one of the developers, as Nervosa says here. I'm one of the programmers that were involved in this project. We also had another programmer involved in the project that I wanted to mention. Uh, name is Inyarlathonic. Uh, they started as a hobbyist in their spare time, and so they're kind of a jack of all trades. So they touched on a little bit of everything on this project. And as you can see, it's just a kind of rapid fire kind of thing there. Just having a little good time.
Yeah, we're just getting straight into it. All right. And so you meant so this is part of the my first game jam. I'm yeah, getting that right. Yeah, summer edition of my first game jam. So is this in fact the first game jam you participated in?
This wasn't my first game jam.
Okay.
I wasn't gonna participate in it, but they submitted. They allowed anyone to submit, so I was just happy to, do something interesting with some friends of mine that we thought would be fun.
Nice. I do love the fact that I don't know this might not come across on the stream. The exe is called Pants Are for Losers. .exe.
Yeah, that was the original name, and we were spitballing things, and then one of our developers, Kira, she came with like, "What about winning streak?" And it was so good, we couldn't pass that up.
That is very good. Yeah.
And yeah, nervous to see, yeah, and the ending screen is I was robed, so yeah, that was
Okay, I got to admit I didn't notice the pun. I just was like, I was robbed, huh? Don't get it. Ah, I got yeah, robed. There we go. Oh my goodness. Now the question is, where is this individual being hung from?
who knows? Maybe the fence.
And then they all take turns punting balls at you.
Yeah, get extra points if you hit them.
But yeah, so we are looking at an actual like this is a 3D game with just 2D sprites that are facing towards. Is it billboarded or is it just like a flat on view?
It is. I forced the camera to remain where it is,
Uh huh.
so your character is actually moving around in 3D space. But yeah, I just forced it to not move anywhere, so it maintains its perspective. So yeah, you get smaller as you move further out, bigger as you get closer. Um, and you can see there, I'm gonna do a little edit later for the so you can actually see the entire field,
Okay.
and I want to give the guards a little more randomness in their appearance, so they don't if you don't activate them, they're not just lined up.
Yeah, so they kind of like amble about.
Yes.
So what does actually activate the guards? Is if you get too close to them?
Yes, sir. It's a proximity thing.
Okay, I see. I'll try my best to avoid them. What's a good score in this game?
Uh, I have some friends that play. They told me they've reached the 200s, but
Wow.
I can't get past 100.
Well, I'm making no guarantees of how far I get on today's stream, but the point is the interview, not the not how well I can play the game. I'm only doing this to sort of show off the game as we discuss it.
Yeah. The part of trying to help the player get a better score is that's why we added in the other streakers.
Yeah.
So hopefully, the guard will pick up the streakers. That has to be touched up a little bit, but when they pick up the streakers, they actually disappear and they'll leave
Mhm.
the field, giving you room to actually move.
Yeah. So what am I actually picking up? What are these little
That's
drink
beer.
bottles? Okay.
That's it's gonna be incorporated a little bit more, uh, to where there will be a crowd there. Well, this is a plan. There'll be a crowd in the background, and they'll actually throw the beer out at you. And
Uh,
the more beer you collect, then you'll get like a maybe a mana bar, some sort of stunt meter. So you get extra points if you can stunt on the guards and not get caught.
are you any thoughts of adding like the ability to like jump over characters?
I hadn't thought about adding the jump ability just because I think it would be I think it would add a little more, not difficulty, but it would make it more insane. Being that
That's very true.
everybody's facing the same direction, it would be hard to adjust for the back and forth values if someone tries to go back and forth jumping.
Yeah, jumping is always tricky in a sort of like 2D. Like this is a 3D plane, but oh my god. Um, I always I keep missing out on what my score is just before I lose at the game there, but I think I'm topping
Yes,
at around 25.
that's something I do need to add in as well is that ability.
Yeah, maybe just like a. I don't know. Is there space to keep the score display as it is in the top corner there?
Yeah, I have the ability. I didn't show it. I just put up a whole nother screen instead
Yeah,
of
sure.
showing you what you have.
So what is the which version? Because this jam was in the summer, and that concluded on July 11th. But you're mentioning that there are things you want to go back in and change about the game. So what is the timeline on like getting back to working on this game, and when were you planning to add those changes?
I didn't have a specific timeline in mind. Uh, I'd like to get to it pretty soon.
Okay.
Um, within the next month or so, I'd like to start adding things to it. Um, my passion is geared really hard towards AI, so I would like to make the AI just more fun to play with. That way, I don't have to spam you with guards and make you lose.
Right. Yeah. So make it a little bit more, make each individual guard a little more interesting and dynamic. And that way
Right.
it's not just a matter of the field slowly filling up with them.
Yes, sir. And also, I pulled a clip on the stream. You actually reached 70 on that run.
Oh, well, that's much better than I had originally anticipated. So, okay. Um, the amount of inertia the character has really makes it tricky to like
Yeah,
dodge around the guards.
yeah, that swing there.
We've got a dangerous situation piling up on the right hand side of the screen here.
Oof.
See if I can't trip some of them up.
Now, some of
Um,
them can they can double stack on each other as well.
oh boy.
It just has, I want to say 20 somewhere. Was it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Maybe about 30 to 35 potential positions the guard can spawn in.
Mhm.
Um, and it will randomly choose those. So if it randomly chose the same spot in another spawn timer, it would just spawn another one in that spot.
Yeah, yeah.
I've run into a stack of three accidentally before and just oops.
And do they all end up like diverging their positions out when you sort of like kick the hornet's nest?
Yeah, once you get them moving, they're like, hey, 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 hey.
Oh, that's real good. Um, all right. Well, I'll move on to my next question in the list, at least. So, what was the inspiration behind this game? I think it's a little self-evident, but I don't know if there's
Yeah,
anything else you want to say on that.
it was free, and so we wanted to find something that was fun to get people engaged into it, but also fit the theme of free.
Mhm.
And so we spitballed like different things, like freeing people that were captured. We considered the prospect of you know um, balancing the scales. For instance, like at a store, you try to get things and just kind of bargain until you get the thing you want for free. Uh, and then we decided, maybe something a little more comical. Um, and someone mentioned like freeing yourself of your clothing or something, and and we just kind of like, yeah, that's a good idea. And they were like, well, we could make it what if it's
Game
too
about streaking.
risque? And so then we added the little added the little sensor block on the characters, and,
Yeah.
and so you're just freeing yourself.
Um, so the did you end up going right? So your time limit was 2 weeks, and then like when was this decision made to go with this as the main idea?
I think this may have been like the second or third day of that 2 week cycle
Okay.
when we decided to really stick it to this theme. I want to say the second day, uh, but it could have been a little longer. If I'm not mistaken, well, the way it's programmed to do, if the guard is if the guard sees you, if you lose them, then they're
Mhm.
supposed to go and pick up one of those other streakers.
Right. Is there a little bit of a like, if they get close to you, you kind of freeze up?
No,
Because,
um,
huh?
no one's movement is inhibited by anyone else's.
Because I just feel like sometimes I get near a guard and then it feels like my character comes to a stop
Uh,
and I'm not able
that's
to. Oh, the acceleration is it takes some getting used to.
Yes, it does. That could be part of it. There is when you're if you're changing directions quickly,
Yeah.
then that physics, those
Ooh,
the physics swinging you from one direction, you have to cancel it to move the other way. So it could potentially make you feel as though you're stopped.
up to 115. This is definitely the best I've done so far.
Okay.
But the field is also getting quite hectic, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to keep this up for much longer. But we'll go anyway into our next question. I don't know how I managed to dodge that guard. I was looking away from the screen. But yeah, so the next question was, what was your development process like on this game?
We just had a more of a standard iterative process.
Mm-hmm.
So work on one thing and then build on top of that. So the first step was once we decided that we wanted to do the streaking, it was like, well, how are we going to make it look? Because it would look weird if it was just static 2D.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't give you as many options. We didn't want to go full 3D because that means so many more assets you'd have to create.
Yeah, yep, yep.
Um, so we decided to go with a 2.5, um, but with a kind of a top down, so you could kind of angle like this one here is what we are
Yeah.
looking for. And so I just tampered around with a project. We finally got the camera angle right that we wanted, and then we got then we played around with different sprites, just regular 2D sprites, to see how we could get it to move. If we could get this movement correct and perspective
Mm-hmm.
correct. Once that was correct, it was just, hey, can you collect an obstacle? Can you collect an item? All right, we got the item collected. All right, can you get caught? All right, you can get caught. So just continue to build on top of that. And next step would be, just continue to test and improve on it.
Yeah, so just sort of chipping through tasks one at a time. Like, were you working off of some like master list of tasks, or did you just kind of like it's a small enough game you can sort of keep the entirety of it in your head?
We had a just from our chat, our Discord chat, we had a little record we were kind of tabbing by.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the project was small enough. We felt like we didn't need an entire Trello board or anything like that for our agile methodology. Uh, just kind of talking to each other would work, and just kind of made some sporadic decisions as well. Just hey, what seems fun? What could be interesting? And,
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I guess like 2 weeks is the exact length of your average sprint, right?
hmm
I know,
that's
I
right.
know project management terms. My dad's a project manager.
Oh, very nice.
Um, well, I don't usually create a Trello board for an individual game jam either. I usually end up just having a checklist in Google Docs, and that usually serves me just fine.
Yeah.
But I'm always interested to hear how different people approach their own like project, especially when you're working with others, when you have to coordinate with a team. Like I can get away with a single Google Doc because it's pretty easy for me to just keep on top of my own um, what's in my own brain and whatnot.
Right. The lines of communication is just right there.
Yeah, yeah. Any sort of chat client with a history is very useful for that. But I don't know. I definitely find Discord is more to my preference than Slack per se. But yeah, so and the project was actually written in Unreal. So along those lines, do you have a useful shortcut or a clever hack that you can recommend in the Unreal Engine?
Oh, and the Unreal Engine itself. I don't have any super hacks. I really enjoy the B click for my branches. I use a lot of branches sometimes, and so just clicking with B is the best thing I got.
What does that actually do?
It creates a branch. Instead of you having to right click, search for branch, and use a branch, you can just uh press B and left click, and it'll create a branch wherever your mouse is.
So is that when you're using the blueprints?
Yes, when you use some blueprints.
Okay, yeah,
And
because
this was
I
this was all with blueprint.
oh
This
nice.
was all with blueprints.
Yeah, because I don't know, I haven't developed with Unreal before. I've only used Unity and Game Maker. So when you started talking about branches, I'm like, okay, that sounds like a visual code thing. Um, this streaker is trapped on other streakers. We've got a real terrible situation building up on the left side this time. We got
Yeah,
a
you're
chance getting
130.
near them.
Yeah, the best what was I finna say? I was looking at your score and I kind of lost it.
Was this thing to do with the like best score, or the still talking about the Unreal blueprints, or
Oh, the yeah, blueprints. I guess the best thing I could uh well, I mean it is exactly this. The branch statement is your if statements
right?
in
So anytime there's
Unreal.
a logical split.
Right. Now I actually did a lot of development in Unity before I started school. I was self-teaching myself programming and game programming.
Nice.
And Unity was the engine I ended up using. But once I got to school, we used Unreal for the most part.
Mhm.
And so that's when I got into Unreal and just trying to learn about all that. And I haven't used it. I've only used Unity and Unreal uh, as far as game programming, game programming suites.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I find C++ and C# to be very different from each other. So how did you find making the transition?
Whew. Okay, so when I initially started to learn, I knew nothing about programming, nothing about games at all, and so I thought you had to learn every language. So I spent about a year trying to learn every programming language out there, and then I learned, hey, you can use this engine and it makes it a little better. Hey, you can learn one specific language and make it a little better. Oh, you're 185 right now. You're killing it. 190. Um, and then I started with Java and trying to program with Java, and that made C# easy to transition to. But then they're both object-oriented programming languages, so
Yeah.
plus plus and blueprints. It took me a while to kind of get a hang of it because I was trying to in my head translate everything in blueprints into C# before I
Mhm.
actually did it, and I was just burning myself out, wasting time. And then I had, it's kind of its own language. You have to learn it as opposed to trying to make parallels between each one for everything you do.
Yeah, like you can't you can keep some of the syntax in your head. Like they're all still sort of based on C vaguely, but
Right.
you can keep like some approaches and like general methodologies. No, there we go. Okay, that was it. We hit the end. But yeah, so just in general, the more
225. Nice.
it's not bad. The more programming languages you learn, the easier it is to learn each subsequent language.
Right,
Um,
because the more you learn, the better your logic gets, and it's all about
exactly.
that logic.
You got it. Yeah, logic is the sort of underlying core of every programming language you can learn out there.
Right.
But yeah, so that's going to be the best run. There's no way we're beating that one. But I just wanted to say hello to Godo. Let's see, Godo Faripo. I don't, please correct me on the pronunciation there. But yes, I am. That is the point of this game. This is something I should have done sooner, but I'm going to make sure to drop the link in the chat here so other people can try the game out. And yeah, we are intentionally trying to knock down other streakers so that the guards go after them instead. It's a very tight like the loop works really well because as long as they're still on the ground there, they are a hazard to you and you can run into them and you have to try to like cancel them out with the guards, but you have to
Yeah.
like not get too close to the guards because otherwise they can like I think that's the one thing I'll say is that it's a little tricky to get close enough to a guard to have them start chasing after you, and then I'm moving too slowly, and then they accelerate faster than I do, and they catch me off really easily.
You gotta try
So
to catch them on a flyby. Kinda.
yeah, it's tricky, and I maybe that's going to play into that kind of sort of tricking mechanic that you were thinking about implementing. Is like how quickly you can pass by them or how close you can get to them without getting caught.
Yes. Um, my strategy usually is to kind of I try to go up the screen, making myself smaller in perspective as I slip by him to try to catch him, to try to kind of pull him that way. Uh, doesn't
Okay,
work
I've
very well all the time, but hey, it's a strategy.
yeah. I mean, I'm just kind of like running, trying to trip and create as much of a uh, buffer for myself as possible, and then trying not to let the guards pile up too much.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, God of Arapo. Got it. Got it. I see how I was just like the words were mashed together. You gotta use the capitalization. You gotta have the way that I do with my username. You can just capitalize every word and make it a little easier.
I camel case him.
Okay. But yeah, so let's see. You've already talked a little bit about some of the features you plan on adding, but was there anything else that we didn't get to?
Um, well, you asked me about shortcuts for the engine, so let me give you
Oh yeah, if there's any
what.
more that you have, absolutely.
Yeah, in Yarlathonic, he was mentioning for sound design, he
Hmm.
used a wave format, and remember that the volume is exponential and not linear,
Hmm.
and it optimally plays all sound effects together on the background on the BGM to make sure that you can hear each sound distinctly at once. It wasn't important to this project specifically because we haven't
Hmm.
haven't implemented audio just yet, but
Right.
the BGM needs to be composed with the room for the sound effects to stand out. So that's
Yeah, I am terrible with anything to do with audio engineering, so that is a very useful tip for someone who knows nothing about it. I just have to think about like, okay, how the heck do I actually implement that?
yes.
The
um,
sound effects are very much an afterthought in a lot of the games that I make. It's kind of like, what can I whip together in BFXR?
and you were asked your next question. We were going to ask me.
Oh yeah, just like if you had any other plans for the game going forward. You mentioned a couple of like additions and features you wanted to include and some changes you wanted to make, but if there's anything else we didn't get to just yet.
Yeah. I'd like to keep updating it. Like I said, bit by bit. No big rush on it because I would like for to see it released and be downloaded and played on some of the more official uh, platforms.
Mm-hmm.
But specifically, just want to update it a bit at a time, and then port it to mobile. Uh, that seems like just something, if I added a gyroscope to it, so you could make the player run around by tipping the screen, and it'd just be fun. A little time waster to get you involved in something.
Sure. So we always have to ask this because people every once in a while mention they want to bring something to mobile. What would be your objective in bringing the game on mobile? Would you be planning to sell it or just as an exercise for producing a mobile game?
This would just be fun. Fun. It'll be something interesting that I have my name on, and hey, you can download this, and I made it, and it's fun. Um, I don't plan on selling it. Just I don't think it's like something I got to money for. It just be fun,
Yeah.
and
Good,
I'm all about
good.
having a little fun.
Because my general advice to anyone who's trying to make money on the App Store is don't. Like,
Right.
don't put in the time and effort to release a game that you've made on a mobile platform unless it is a match three, um, a Farmville clone, or a waifu JPEG gotcha game. Um, just because those games, and I'm leaving out other popular genres on mobile, but in general, it is not worth the average indie dev's time to put something together unless it is just like a hey, I here's what I did, here's what I was able to do. I was able to produce a game on this platform. Um, Peace on Mars. Thank you for the follow. But yeah, I just want to like follow up on chat here. Nervosus is mentioning it'd be cool if there were levels, like a certain score, like threshold you could get to, and then different stadiums with new cops, different AI patterns, maybe. Maybe a football team chasing you. That would be fun. Um, Football and soccer are relatively similar. Whew, I don't know. Maybe like in terms of it's a green field, but you could definitely. I don't know. I'd be more worried about a football player chasing me than a soccer player.
Yeah,
Just
but
they got a
the
lot of.
football player probably won't kick you as hard. Just saying.
I don't know. They got all the padding and the helmet. They're gonna like they're all about the tackling. Like I don't know. I'd be worried. I'd definitely be worried. Hockey. Oh my god. It's incredibly ill-advised. Running around on the ice, just completely for the fun of it. Like the controls are super slippery on that level.
And now you got me thinking about a football player on the field, just like more of a boss style football player on the
Yeah,
field.
yeah.
You're drunk enough, you kick their helmet off, and they become a soccer player. And you kick them again, and they eventually you knock their clothes off of them, and they're a streaker now, and you knock them over and continue on to the next level. That I think that would be really interesting.
I can imagine that working. I can imagine it like being kind of like a rhino charge. Like you have to like they move really quick, but they move in a straight line, so you have to kind of like kite around them and move at the last second.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Yeah, see, you giving me great ideas.
Excellent. Well, if anyone has any questions in chat, please get those in now. And just in the meantime, where can people find you? Do you have any other social media channels people can find you on, or any other projects you're working on you'd like to plug?
You already put my link in the chat, but on TikTok and itch.io, I'm Letholor, so letholor.itch.io. Um, on in Yalatonic, he can be found for the same name on Twitter, SoundCloud, and itch.io. And I'm gonna type his name into the chat as well because
Here, I'll grab
it's a doozy.
that. And if you,
And
yeah,
he's
if there's any
also in the
links you
credits
want,
as well.
sorry, yeah, down
Yeah, there
here.
we go. Yeah, right there.
If you have any other any links you want to send me, I'll just repost those in the chat for you.
Okay.
Or you can post them directly in the chat. What am I saying? You don't have to send them to me. Anyone is allowed to post links.
Okay.
Nervosus is asking if you have considered doing a YouTube channel.
Yeah, I have considered doing a YouTube channel. I actually, funny thing you asked me that, Nervosis, because I am currently in the process of creating myself a backlog for my YouTube channel. Um,
That's the way to do it.
potentially, potentially going to stream as well. We'll see how that plays out in the next few months. But yeah, I'm currently playing RimWorld and other games that I find interesting that just would be fun to play around with.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've seen a bit of RimWorld, so I know that that's a good one to get people involved with because you can like name people in chat after that. Oh wow, those guys got me from off screen. But yeah, backlog is always the way to do it. I think that is just anytime somebody starts into a new project, like you want to build up a backlog because especially if it's like a podcast or something, your first couple episodes maybe those don't see the light of day, at least not until like way down the line. But it gives you a sort of sense, like a flow, a methodology of like, okay, here's it takes me this long to produce a video. It takes me like this is the process of editing. I have to do, you get all that like built out into an order, and then it's just a matter of like chipping through those. So, what sort of subject were you planning on for your YouTube channel?
Uh, I like strategies and I like RPGs, so I'll probably stick to that category a little bit. Um, and we just kind of see what happens there.
Cool.
I'm very new to the scene, so I don't I don't know exactly what all I want to get involved into, but yeah, those sound pretty fun to me.
Yeah, I think that the best thing you can do is just play games you like because then no matter what your viewership is like, you're having a good time.
Right.
I mean, that's why I love doing these interviews because it's always a good time, always a good conversation, and whoa. Yeah, it's been a great time just talking about winning streak here. Um, any final questions coming in from chat? And is there any other like final remarks or thoughts you want to mention?
I see Nervosus here is asking about updates for my TikTok. Yeah, once I learn how to do that, pull myself some small clips out, I'll probably end up updating my TikTok that way. Some, if anything really interesting happens, probably try to get an audience that way as well. Like I
Sounds
said,
good.
just having fun, seeing where it goes.
All right. Well, I think we're going to call it there. But Letholor, thank you so much for joining me on the call today. And yeah, I'm just going to one more time. I'm going to drop a link to Winning Streak in chat there in case anyone else wants to try it. So 225. That's my record. Let's see if you can beat it.
Thank you so
All
much.
right. Yeah, absolutely. Have yourself a good evening.
And you too.
All right. Bye bye.